12 bad habits that are secret signs of high intelligence. The genius paradox: why your flaws might be superpowers. Everyone assumes swearing, procrastinating, or hoarding browser tabs are signs of laziness. But what if there's evidence that your brain runs on a more advanced operating system? Maybe you've been called messy, unfocused, or antisocial, when in truth, your mind just rejects limits built for average speeds. This is the genius paradox, a reframe of flaws as features. Ahead are 12 bad habits that secretly reveal high intelligence, including one that redefines productivity itself. The misunderstood optimizer. Picture this: a massive deadline looms, yet you're suddenly deep cleaning your keyboard or organizing a folder you haven't touched in years. To outsiders, that looks like procrastination. But you're not avoiding the task, you're warming up your neural engine. What's happening is something psychologists call productive procrastination. Your brain is working in stealth mode, letting your subconscious process complex problems while your hands handle smaller, structured tasks. Adam Grant's research at Wharton revealed that moderate procrastinators are often more creative than early starters. The delay is not avoidance, it's incubation. You're creating mental breathing room for innovative solutions to surface. And your brain doesn't stop there. It optimizes how you work. That twitch of impatience when watching someone perform a slow, repetitive computer task, that's your neural efficiency algorithm kicking in. Cognitive scientists at Carnegie Mellon found that people who quickly discover keyboard shortcuts show enhanced cognitive chunking, the ability to compress multi-step tasks into automatic patterns. In other words, your mind rewrites its own software to remove inefficiency. You apply the same instinct in daily life, finding the fastest grocery route, the best way to pack, or the cleanest workflow. But the most profound optimization isn't mechanical, it's intellectual. You're the person who asks why when everyone else settles for what. That's causal reasoning, the mark of an analytical thinker who can't accept surface-level information. MIT research shows that people who habitually ask why demonstrate advanced metacognition, thinking about thinking. You're not being difficult, you're building a mental architecture of understanding. When you ask why, you're doing what every innovator has done: reverse engineering reality. 2. The creative linguist. Now let's decode another misunderstood habit: your relationship with language itself. You've probably been told that swearing shows a lack of control or vocabulary, yet studies suggest the opposite. Dr. Timothy Jay's research at the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts found that people who use profanity fluently also score higher in verbal intelligence tests. For you, language is an instrument. Every word, even the taboo ones, has tone, rhythm, and intent. You understand context. You can swear around someone, not at them. You know exactly when to deploy the sharpness of a four-letter word to relieve tension, punctuate humor, or convey authenticity. That isn't vulgarity, it's linguistic precision. This mastery extends beyond profanity. You naturally play with metaphors, analogies, and puns. When you describe a tedious meeting as a slow-motion car crash, your brain is mapping emotion onto imagery in milliseconds. That cognitive flexibility, called semantic creativity, activates the same brain regions associated with problem-solving and innovation. Dr. John Kaunius at Drexel University found that people who enjoy this kind of wordplay show stronger activity in the anterior superior temporal gyrus, the region linked to insight generation. You're not just making jokes, you're practicing rapid, multi-dimensional thinking. And look at your bookshelf, a mix of genres that seems chaotic to others but functions like cross-training for your intellect. Reading romance improves empathy. Science fiction enhances abstract reasoning. Mysteries refine logic. Keith Oatley at the University of Toronto found that people who read diverse fiction score higher in empathy and social cognition. That genre chaos isn't disorganization. It's deliberate neural conditioning, an intelligence that feeds itself a balanced cognitive diet. 3. The deep diver. When the party ends, you're not following everyone to the after-hours bar. You're going home. Not because you dislike people, but because socializing drains your mental battery. You've probably been called antisocial. In truth, you're selective. Your brain processes social data, tone, microexpressions, subtext, at such a deep level that it exhausts your cognitive resources. Hans Eysenk's early studies on introversion found that highly analytical brains require less external stimulation to reach peak activation. Dr. Satoshi Kanazawa's research expanded that finding. People with higher intelligence report lower happiness when socializing frequently. Not because they dislike others, but because they crave uninterrupted mental bandwidth. You're not avoiding people, you're conserving processing power. Solitude isn't loneliness for you, it's calibration. It's where you enter deep focus mode. The zone where you refine ideas, master skills, or chase curiosities. Those rabbit hole explorations others label as distractions are, in fact, one of your greatest strengths. You click on one link, why are flamingos pink, and hours later you're reading about crustaceans, algae pigmentation, and evolutionary adaptation. That isn't a lack of focus, it's intellectual navigation across connected data nodes. Neuroscientist Marcus Reichel identified this process as the default mode network in the brain, a system that remains active even during rest, forming connections between distant ideas. It's what allows creative thinkers to bridge concepts across domains. When you're interested, you enter flow, the mental state Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi defined as total immersion in meaningful work. You perform exponentially better on self-chosen challenges because your mind recognizes intrinsic value and prioritizes it. This isn't an inconsistency, it's intelligent energy allocation. 4. The chaotic manager. Now we reach the habit that most critics mistake for disorder, your visible chaos. Glance at your screen. How many tabs are open right now? 15? 50? It doesn't matter. To others, that's clutter. To you, it's a topographical map of your mind. Each tab represents an active thread, an idea, a reference, a problem mid-solution. Herbert Simon, Nobel laureate in cognitive science, coined the concept of satisficing, making decisions that are good enough to maintain momentum rather than perfect. Your open tabs are satisficing in action. You're not hoarding distractions, you're building quick access memory shortcuts. Creative brains often operate with low filtering. Dr. Nancy Andreasen's research on gifted individuals found reduced neural gating in the association cortex, meaning your brain lets more stimuli in, producing floods of ideas. The downside? It's messy. The upside? It's where innovation lives. Your tab chaos extends to life organization. Notebooks, voice memos, scraps of ideas, these aren't clutter, but overflow. Divergent thinkers generate more connections per minute than linear thinkers. The challenge isn't inspiration, it's bandwidth. And that same cognitive divergence explains why rigid schedules feel suffocating. When your brain is wired for curiosity, strict structure becomes friction. Innovation requires elasticity, not repetition. Einstein famously scheduled long, unstructured walks, his equivalent of mental jazz improvisation. This isn't a lack of discipline, it's openness to experience, a trait highly correlated with intelligence. Your resistance to rigid time blocks isn't rebellion, it's a biological drive toward novelty, the spark that keeps neural growth alive. 5. The rule bender. Have you ever felt that subtle irritation when someone shrugs and says, "That's just the way it's done"? That spark of resistance isn't rebellion, it's analytical friction. Your brain isn't trying to be difficult, it's demanding logic. For highly intelligent minds, repetition without purpose feels like running premium hardware on outdated software. You can follow systems, but you refuse to follow them blindly. Psychologists call this instinct reactance, a natural pushback that occurs when freedom of thought or choice feels restricted. In most people, it shows up as stubbornness. In intelligent individuals, it transforms into innovation. You question, dismantle, and rebuild. When a process doesn't make sense, your mind automatically runs diagnostics, looking for inefficiencies and rewriting the code. You're not rejecting authority, you're optimizing it. Elon Musk famously described his engineering approach as starting from the physics up, meaning he questions every assumption until only the truth remains. That same mindset appears in your daily life, when you redesign a workflow, rewrite a routine, or even rethink how to make your morning coffee faster. Your internal motto isn't "don't follow rules," it's "follow logic." And when logic and tradition collide, logic wins. Every time. Because to you, blind repetition isn't loyalty or discipline, it's intellectual stagnation. Progress, after all, has never come from those who simply did things the way they'd always been done. The night thinker. You do your best thinking when the world is asleep. Late at night, distractions fade, and your mind finally unfolds. The quiet hours offer a rare cognitive sanctuary, a time when your brain can roam freely without interruption. Research from the London School of Economics suggests that night owls consistently score higher on IQ tests, proposing that more intelligent individuals may be drawn to nocturnal habits because they offer ideal conditions for complex thought. A complementary study from Imperial College London, analyzing data from over 26,000 participants, found that self-identified night owls tend to perform better on cognitive tasks, especially those requiring abstract reasoning and mental sharpness. Your nocturnal rhythm isn't laziness, it's optimization. While others rest, your brain engages in high-level default network activation, the neural mechanism responsible for introspection, imagination, and connecting disparate ideas. This network thrives in low-stimulus environments, making midnight the perfect playground for deep thought. Night thinkers often report a stronger relationship with creativity and self-reflection. The silence allows access to what psychiatrist Carl Jung called the shadow dialogue, deep subconscious communication. Whether you're journaling, coding, or just thinking, those midnight hours are where your mental pattern recognition thrives. So don't feel guilty for being alive when others are dreaming. You're not avoiding sleep. You're mining it for insight, and perhaps unlocking the genius that prefers to whisper when the world is quiet. 7. The verbal processor. If you talk to yourself, you're in good company. Inner dialogue isn't madness, it's meta-thinking. Studies by Dr. Gary Lupien at the University of Wisconsin-Madison show that self-talk enhances cognitive performance. In one experiment, participants searching for objects were significantly faster when they verbalized the target's name aloud, a phenomenon Lupien attributes to improved visual and memory activation. By verbalizing thoughts, you externalize internal logic, effectively turning abstract concepts into manipulable data. This process helps you organize ideas, reinforce memory, and sharpen decision-making. When you mutter while planning or replaying conversations, you're debugging your own software. That verbal loop clarifies reasoning and helps identify weak points in arguments. It's not crazy talk, it's cognitive rehearsal. Self-talk also plays a motivational role. Many people use it to coach themselves through challenges, boost confidence, or rehearse social interactions. Lupien notes that saying things like, "You got this," can increase task persistence and emotional regulation. Einstein himself was a notorious self-talker. He described thinking as a dialogue with oneself. Verbal processors transform thinking into speech to simulate interaction, which strengthens memory encoding and deepens understanding. So next time someone catches you talking to yourself, just tell them you're conducting a private symposium and science is on your side. The emotional tuner. Being emotionally sensitive isn't a flaw. It's a finely tuned superpower. Neuroscience backs it, and your ability to read the room is a form of advanced pattern recognition. You've been told you're too sensitive. That's false. You're finely calibrated. Your emotional radar picks up micro fluctuations others miss. A pause too long, a tone slightly off, the tension in a room. Empathy isn't weakness. It's pattern recognition of human behavior. Neuroscientists at Cambridge University found that high emotional sensitivity correlates with increased activity in the insula and anterior cingulate cortex, regions associated with emotional awareness, interoception, and decision-making. These areas help you process subtle emotional cues and internal states, allowing you to respond with nuance and precision. Your feelings are data. They help you navigate complex social equations faster than logic alone. This kind of emotional attunement is what allows great leaders, artists, and communicators to anticipate needs before they're expressed. You read the subtext while others are stuck on the script. You sense what's unsaid, what's withheld, and what's needed, often before anyone else does. Of course, sensitivity has a cost: overstimulation. But solitude and self-regulation aren't avoidance, they're system maintenance. You retreat not to hide, but to recalibrate. In a world that often values noise over nuance, your sensitivity is a quiet strength and a vital one. 9. The constant rethinker. You second-guess everything, not because you're insecure, but because you understand uncertainty. While many crave closure, your brain thrives on open loops. You revisit ideas, question conclusions, and test assumptions. That restless reanalysis is critical thinking in its purest form. Cognitive psychologist and Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman describes this as System 2 thinking, slow, deliberate reasoning that challenges instinctive responses. In contrast to System 1, which is fast and intuitive, System 2 is effortful and analytical. Kahneman's research, outlined in Thinking Fast and Slow, shows that high IQ individuals tend to rely more on System 2, especially when solving complex problems or resisting cognitive biases. This mental habit can make you seem indecisive, but it's actually disciplined skepticism. You prefer accuracy over speed, understanding over ego. The constant loop of what if and why not keeps your worldview dynamic, a self-updating operating system instead of static code. In a world that often rewards quick answers and overconfidence, your second-guessing is a quiet rebellion. It's how you refine ideas, avoid blind spots, and stay intellectually agile. You're not stuck, you're iterating, and that's how real insight is born. 10. The mental simulator. You overthink, but you also pre-think. Before major decisions, your brain runs entire simulations, testing outcomes, contingencies, and emotional responses. This isn't hesitation, it's forecasting. You're not stuck in indecision, you're running predictive models. Neuroscientist Dean Buomanno calls this ability mental time travel, the brain's capacity to simulate future scenarios based on past experiences and current data. In his book, Your Brain is a Time Machine, Buomanno explains that this function is essential for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. For individuals with high cognitive ability, these simulations are not only faster, but also more vivid and detailed. That's why you rehearse conversations, anticipate reactions, and visualize projects in granular detail before they begin. Like a chess grandmaster, your brain sees moves ahead, mapping out possibilities and consequences with precision. Of course, this mental agility can spiral into rumination if unchecked. But in moderation, it's the core of strategic intelligence, a brain that prefers prevention to reaction. You're not just thinking deeply, you're thinking forward, and that's not a flaw, it's a cognitive advantage. The contradiction collector. You hold two conflicting ideas at once, and you're fine with that. This mental flexibility, known as integrative complexity, is a hallmark of advanced reasoning. It reflects your ability to evaluate multiple perspectives simultaneously, recognizing that opposing views can both contain partial truths. Rather than seeking rigid conclusions, you navigate ambiguity with intellectual grace. Psychologists define integrative complexity as the capacity to differentiate and integrate diverse viewpoints. Studies have shown that individuals with high integrative complexity are better at conflict resolution, leadership, and creative problem solving. They don't just tolerate contradiction, they leverage it. Historical figures like Winston Churchill, Leonardo da Vinci, and F. Scott Fitzgerald embodied this trait. Fitzgerald famously wrote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function." This quote captures the essence of paradoxical thinking, the ability to remain functional and thoughtful amidst cognitive tension. You don't need certainty to feel comfortable. In fact, you distrust oversimplification. Your curiosity is exploratory, not defensive. You'd rather live in question marks than force premature periods. In a world that often demands black and white answers, your mind thrives in shades of gray, and that's where true insight lives. 12. The strategic slacker. Finally, the most misjudged habit of all. You do nothing. And that's nothing? It's brilliant. When you zone out, your brain is running background tasks, integrating data, forming memories, and making abstract connections. The default mode network activates strongest during rest, the same network linked to creativity and insight. Dr. Jonathan Schooler at UC Santa Barbara found that mind wandering boosts problem solving by up to 40%. Those moments in the shower, on a walk, or staring at the ceiling are when your subconscious ties loose threads together. So when you step away from your desk to waste time, you're actually running deep system diagnostics. Your brain, unburdened by conscious control, reorganizes itself for innovation. What looks like laziness is strategic recovery. Embrace your inner genius. So, after seeing this so-called chaos for what it is, adaptive intelligence, what's the verdict? You're not lazy, messy, or antisocial. You're neurologically unique, designed for exploration, not conformity. Every flaw you've been told to fix, from procrastination to profanity, solitude to tab overload, is evidence of a mind optimizing itself in unconventional ways. The real problem isn't your habits. It's the narrow definition of intelligence that labels your brilliance as disorder. Stop apologizing for your wiring. Stop trying to fix what was never broken. The world rewards neatness, but progress comes from those who color outside the lines. Your brain isn't the bug in the system. It's the next version of it.